Joe Rogan recently had the likes of, you guessed it, Dave Smith back on his podcast. And I think he was trying to generate a few more numbers, considering that Joe Rogan's podcast at the moment, he hasn't been really able to crack over a million. He would continuously get over a million for pretty much all of his episodes, or even 2 million as well. And I mean, credit where credit is due. It's not easy to get over a million, 2 million plus views per episode. So it is saying something when your numbers are decreasing the way that they are. And it could be like the kind of guests that he's got on at the moment, or it could be the fact that he's been very anti-Israel at the moment and also hosting very, well, not boring, but lame, lame people. And I guess the conversations, they're not anything new. Like there's nothing really new that I've heard. Like he will be on my Spotify and I'll see the guest that he's got on and I'll be like, oh, nah, not interested. Get rid of it. Another new episode, not interested. Get rid of it. There hasn't really been any like fascinating content that I want to digest from Joe Rogan, right? Recently, it's just all repetitive. And then, well, lo and behold, I see Dave Smith on. Seems like Dave Smith before he was doing so many different podcasts. I think because of his Douglas Murray debate that he had a couple of months ago, which, by the way, Dave Smith seemed to think that he still won that debate, which just shows me that you're a fool. But anyway, not only are you a fool, but you're incredibly arrogant as well. And we know that Piers Morgan loves having Dave Smith on. Dave Smith is one of those people that just loves to talk. Okay, he's just not really saying too much, just loves to talk a bunch of nonsense outside of his backside. He even says that he's a third-rate comedian. I wouldn't even think that you're a third-rate, mate. I think you're just you're not even funny. I don't find you funny at all. Man, Joe Rogan seems to think you're funny, seems to think that you're good at something, so let's have you on. And well, the episode, let's just say, wasn't good. It's just Dave Smith pretty much repeating the same stupid nonsense that Dave Smith always repeats. It's like you got no new content, mate. It's just the same lies, same propaganda, the same kind of stuff you can refute pretty easily if you spend time, watching the whole thing and then, having your say about it. But I'm not going to do that because it's over 2 hours, almost 3 hours long. So that's what I mean. Like almost 3 hours of talking the same kind of nonsense you've been talking for the last, I don't know, however long you've been talking about it and thinking that you're actually smart doing it. But one thing that I cannot stand is when you've got the likes of two comedians, right, on a podcast mocking someone that has more intelligence than both of them put together. And you're mocking whether or not he is right. And then also, have you not been mocking Douglas Murray? Now, I'm a huge fan of Douglas Murray, believe you me. I think it is beneath Joe Rogan, not beneath the arrogant fool of Dave Smith, but it's definitely beneath Joe Rogan, considering that Douglas is supposed to be his friend. But to mock him, I don't think that's acceptable. Do you? What Dave does not realize is that with his latest appearance on Joe Rogan, this is from Ant of Ant Speaks, he is essentially continuing his "But I won the debate" podcast tour. I will tear it to shreds if that were true. Dave, you would not still be droning on about the so-called debate with Douglas Murray months later. And let us not forget that Joe only invited Douglas onto his show under one strict condition, that Dave be on as well. Yes, the emotional support comedian. Noah Berg goes, unbelievable. Dave Smith and Joe Rogan are once again mocking Douglas Murray over their debate, which is several months old. It's like they both haven't gotten over it. Understandably, Dave hasn't appeared since, but it's months old. Get over it. It's clear to me that these two are not over what happened. And so they need to do a almost 3 hour long podcast and talk about things that Douglas Murray is quite experienced in. These two are not, because they've not been, first and foremost. And also, they haven't studied any of it properly enough. Have a watch of, like, this is the very beginning of their podcast. Like, literally the first thing they talk about when the podcast opens. Have a watch.
Just rises to the top of the heap.
Well, it's funny, dude, because since the last time I was on, this has been kind of like the knock on me in a way now.
Is that you're a comedian?
You're just a comedian.
You're
this
my
guy's not an
emotional
expert.
support comedian.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Have you ever been
It feels
emotional
weird.
support comedian?
It feels weird doing this without Doug, to be honest. Aww. It seems kind of wrong. But that's been like essentially that's like the knock is like, yeah, but you're acting like you're an expert, but you're just some comedian. And it's like, no, that's the point. That's always been the point. Like, yes, I'm just a comedian. I'm not an expert. And still, being not an expert, hand me your favorite Warhawk, and I will tear them to shreds, because it's actually not that hard. And, like, these people aren't really experts either.
Well, hey, at least he admitted that he's not an expert at things, but why do people keep turning to the non-expert to talk about things that require an expert to actually talk about? Okay, you are an emotional support comedian for the likes of Piers Morgan. That's quite clear. Same with now Joe Rogan. Like, you think that you know what you're talking about, but you don't. And the other point is you're leading people astray. So, yes, evidently people are going to have their 2 cents worth of, well, sure, you can say it because we live in a free society to say it, but why are you saying it the way that you're saying it? It's quite dangerous the way that you're saying it. And we also need people that actually know the truth to get the truth out there. And as Douglas was talking about months ago in this very debate that Dave Smith still thinks that he won, what are you feeding and why are you feeding it? What are you watering? Why are you watering it? Right? It's something that, like, I keep using because it's a brilliant analogy. Because Dave Smith just admitted, I'm just a comedian. Failed one at that. So that's the whole thing. He knows that he's not an expert, but yet so many people keep turning to the non-expert to once again discuss things that require an actual expert. And they go, Douglas isn't an expert. Yes, he is. He's an expert journalist. He knows things more than you know. You're just a comedian talking about war-like scenarios and things that, again, if you actually spend more than 10 seconds thinking about them, make no sense at all. It shows me that you're very low IQ. You're highly strung, high emotional as well. And when you apply reason, logic, and rationale to them, you falter. You fall flat on your face. And then you repeat the same disingenuous lies that so many other people do. And the fact that months on, you're still talking about the debate. Sure, the debate broke the internet. And we're talking about it for weeks, months. Sure, it got you even more popular than he should have actually been. I think it had much more of a positive impact for Dave Smith than it did for Douglas, unfortunately. But I was defending Douglas the entire time because when you actually have a IQ over 100, or just let's just say IQ over 60, things make sense. But when you listen to Dave Smith and Joe most of the time, you're going, nah, that's not true. You probably need to be relatively low IQ to listen to Dave Smith and actually believe in what he's saying. That's just my personal take, because I've listened to Dave Smith a lot. I don't find him smart. He repeats the same tropes I've heard dingbat people. I call them that. It's just a nice way of saying stupid. Same kind of things that you can pretty much and quite easily, as we've seen happen, John Spencer, Douglas Murray, people that are actually really intelligent, we've seen not only obliterate those lines of thoughts quite easily, in fact, and they continuously do it. But you know what? The emotional person will just get their back up. They'll get defensive and you're attacking my identity. Sort of feels like Dave Smith is doing all the time. You're attacking my identity. But at least I'll admit that I'm not an expert. Then why talk about things thinking you are an expert? Probably not. Look, not a good idea. I listen to people that actually are really smart, and sure, I've got my opinions about things. Fantastic. But I'm not going to talk about something that I got no idea about. What I will do is I'll listen to people that actually know about it. I'll repeat what they say because they know more about it than I do. And then because I'm agreeing with a lot of the stuff that they're saying, then I will share my opinion that is usually in line with what they have to say because they're the expert and I'm not. Anyway, that's enough from me. You guys take care. Be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.